hang around at the end as well if anyone else want to pick anything up. For now, I'm going to start my stop clock. Over to you.
Thanks, Mark. Mark's referring to the stop clock there because in the Cardiff session, apparently I overran, and boy did he tell me. So I need to keep the schedule. So Dan and I will talk about strategy, and we'll keep it fairly headline. I'll move through it quite quickly. We'll cover quite a bit of ground. There'll be the opportunities for some questions afterwards. So this is very much a double act. Both boards and both senior management teams of Cricket Wales and Glamorgan have been working hard on this in the last 12 months. First time we've ever had a joint strategy across the recreational and professional game, and we hope to be in a position to take this to both boards later in December and then submit it to the ECB. Great that Tim is here from the ECB tonight as well, so we'll be submitting these plans to the ECB by the end of February. So this is an opportunity for feedback. This is our 5th session. We've had some really good sessions, length and breadth of Wales. So hopefully you'll find it informative over the next few minutes. So 2020 to 2024 in terms of the strategy, apologies. Vision for cricket in Wales, cricket capturing the imagination of Wales, and our mission, our purpose across the two organisations, connecting communities and improving well-being by inspiring people to discover and share their passion for cricket. So underneath that, 5 joint objectives across the recreational and the professional game, which Dan and I will run through in the next few minutes. So the 5 objectives, 5 main areas: creating successful elite teams and international players. So Dan will lead on that. Develop and maintain fit-for-purpose facilities and infrastructure. Tim will take us through that a little bit later, so we won't talk through that too much, Dan and I. Increase the number of people positively experiencing cricket. Create and deliver a great player and fan experience at all levels, and making the game more sustainable in Wales. And you will see that these 5 objectives have different meanings for the recreational game compared to the professional game, and we'll go through each of them. So our first one, creating successful elite teams and international players. Obviously the lead for this is Glamorgan. Cricket Wales will play a supporting role. With some of the other objectives, Cricket Wales will lead and Glamorgan will play a supporting role. So over to Dan to take us through this one.
So evening all, thanks for taking the time to come along tonight. As Peter said, Glamorgan will lead on creating successful elite teams and international players. So our aim over the next 4 to 5 years is to play cricket that inspires people to come and watch cricket at Sophia Gardens and at all the venues that we play first-class cricket. We want to improve the pathways to provide more Glamorgan and England players. So I think it's fair to say most of us here who are kind of Welsh cricket fans and Glamorgan cricket fans, we haven't produced an international player for I think 15 years. We're not producing enough Welsh-born players representing Glamorgan, which has had a knock-on impact for us, having to go out to overseas to bring in players. I think we all know that when Glamorgan are a successful team, it has a Welsh core and a basis of homegrown talent. So we want to kind of work on that pathway to develop more Glamorgan and England players. It's obviously crucial to us to have a successful 100-ball team. That will drive engagement, and Mark will pick up on the impact of the 100 competition later this evening. A lot of work on women's, so the Centre of Excellence that we're looking to develop here. I think most of that work, the good work that's gone on, has been led by Cricket Wales. A slight shift now that this will be led by Glamorgan moving forward with support from Cricket Wales, and we'll play a part in supporting that Centre of Excellence, whether it be in Cardiff, Taunton or Bristol moving forward. Linked to that is obviously the pathway change. So Glamorgan will now take the lead on pathway cricket. So the Wales age group teams coming forward. So Glamorgan will begin to lead that programme moving forward, and we hope to give that more emphasis and funding to develop our homegrown players, and that will also link through to the girls' game, which is obviously growing at a fast pace. We'll also use technology and innovation to drive performance. So I think we're all aware of the way that the game has changed. So there's a lot more analysis now, and S&C and psychology, all these areas around the game are linked into technology, and it gives a lot more information about our players and how we can develop them for the future. So we're looking to take advantage of that aspect as well.
Great, thanks Dan. So just a point of detail just on that pathway, the winter programme will still be run by Cricket Wales, and then the age group programmes will be run by Glamorgan, still under the brand of Wales, but they'll be run by Glamorgan, so we'll have the professional input into the age group teams. The Wales women's team year-round, winter and summer, will be led by Glamorgan, but will still play under the brand of Wales. Don't know what that was. So that was so we're bringing the professional expertise into the age group programme and to the Wales women's programme. So I think there's big opportunities there for us. So second objective is to develop and maintain fit for purpose facilities, and we'll talk a little bit about that with Tim later. Increasing the number of people positively experiencing cricket. So again, this has impacts across the professional game, which Dan will cover, and I'll cover the recreational game side of things. Dan, do you want to cover the top bit?
Yeah, so it's a really crucial aim for us to get more people to support Glamorgan. So we've looked here at doubling our T20 attendances and ensuring that we sell out the 100 internationals. So we're obviously very lucky to be awarded international cricket in Cardiff, and to gain one of the new 100 teams is superb for us. It gives people in the locality the opportunity to come watch the world's best players at Sapphire Gardens in our country. And we've got to be able to sell those out to prove to the ECB that we're able to deliver positive fan engagement in Wales. The Dublin T20 attendances is all about the Glamorgan cricket, so you'll hear a lot about the 100, and yes, that's exciting, but it's still vitally important for us to put Glamorgan on the map and ensure that we're growing that side of the game as well.
And when it comes to this objective within the recreational game, there's a whole range of things. Obviously, increasing the number of people positively experiencing cricket, obviously the playing of the game, the working within the game, and you'll see there the range of things that we'll be covering over the next number of years. I should say that this strategy, what we're covering is very much the headline side of things. Underneath each of these headings is more detail in terms of exactly what we'd be looking to achieve. The 200, just under 200 clubs across Wales, and that's the bread and butter of our game within Wales. So carrying on to provide the support to the clubs and leagues will be an ongoing high priority for Cricket Wales. We have an ambition to double our schools outreach. So the Chance to Shine programme, where we send the community coaches into the schools, there is an ambition for Chance to Shine for them over the next number of years to double their the number of schools they reach. We want to be part of that. We share that same level of ambition, and that's obviously the first time that we introduce the game to the boys and girls, and there's a captive audience there. Recreational playing offer from the age of 5 upwards. Obviously, All-Stars cricket across Wales has been an enormous success. Huge thanks to everyone in terms of sort of the commitment to All-Stars. We're right up there, I think we're just behind Yorkshire in terms of the numbers on All-Stars, and the way the clubs have grabbed hold of that within Wales is fantastic. The next offer for 8 to 11-year-olds, that'll be unveiled later this week. So in Cardiff on Thursday night, there's another session where we're looking to work with the ECB in terms of what the offer looks like for 8 to 11-year-olds, and then all the way through, obviously, the junior age groups, and keeping teenagers in the game. The People's Game is a version of you might be familiar with in football, the People's Cup for teenagers, looking to try and keep them in the game. So again, in the areas where the 100 is being played, there's going to be a big focus on a new competition to try and small-sided competition, again aimed at keeping teenagers in the game, really the follow-on from under-19 T20. Girls' secondary school competition, a big focus. We know the girls, with the boys' side of things, we know that at primary age, they tend to be making their choice in terms of sports. With girls, we know that comes later. So there's still the opportunity for, if we introduce more cricket within girls' secondary school, then they can still come into the game that little bit later. So there'll be a big focus across the whole of England and Wales in terms of girls' secondary schools competition. The Wales senior men's team, this is the minor county team. In recent years, that's been probably acting more like a Glamorgan third team. The intention is to reposition the Wales minor county team to be at the pinnacle of the recreational game within Wales. So hopefully giving more opportunities for Premier League cricketers to go on and represent Wales, as well as providing opportunities for Glamorgan Academy players. So there's some work for us to do there with Wales Minor County, or Wales National County as it's now referred to, and there's big opportunities there within the recreational game as part of that repositioning. Finally, a really important opportunity is we're all aware of rugby's intentions at primary age to move into the summer season. That causes us obviously great concerns, but we're doing a lot of work with the WRU, whereby we're trying to turn that threat into a bit of an opportunity where we can encourage the rugby boys and girls to be having a go at cricket, and we'll be doing far more sort of joint sporting activity with the WRU. That's in its early stages for next summer, but some of the signs are quite encouraging in terms of joint working between the Cricket Wales staff and the WRU staff. The Community Investment Fund is an opportunity for us maybe to bid to the ECB to get some resource so that we can actually take some money to the table and work alongside the WRU and therefore have that much more influence. And there could be quite a focus there in terms of some of our deprived communities, BAE and E communities, and some of our urban and indeed rural deprived areas. So there's a big opportunity. That doesn't kick in until probably season 2021 onwards. So there's a bit more work for us to do with the WRU and looking at what that opportunity might be and what that community investment fund application may look like. So there's a range of things there in terms of increasing the number of people positively experiencing cricket, both from the spectator side of things and obviously from the playing side of things. Objective 4, create and deliver a great player and fan experience at all levels.
Yeah, so we're looking to improve and work on the cricket's warmest welcome, which we try to give people when they come to Sophia Gardens. We're looking long and hard at kind of our customer experience. We've got an ageing stadium in Cardiff that we need to kind of revamp. We need to look at, kind of our food and drink prices. We need to look at, upgrading our toilet facilities. We need to look at the engagement with the families and children. All these kind of areas to try and provide a really good experience and welcome to Cardiff when people come and watch cricket.
And on the recreational game side of things, you'll see more and more use of digital platforms, digital engagement. So Gavin, who's doing the filming tonight, is helping us all in terms of our use of Play Cricket and various other ECB platforms that are in the pipeline to hopefully make administration of the game a little bit easier, because we're all very aware that the amount of time that we're asking people to do on a voluntary basis is significant, and we need to continually streamline that and move that into the digital age. So there will be more platforms and more support to help people hopefully ease their administration. And things like tonight, where we're filming tonight's Roadshow, that we can actually enable people to watch it at their own time and rather than always having to attend everything face to face. So a big focus on the use of digital within the recreational game. The Iron's going to talk about safeguarding later. Final one for me under this objective is increasing the Welsh language within cricket. Both Glamorgan and Cricket Wales are absolutely committed to being part of the England and Wales Cricket Board, but we are ever more wanting to position ourselves very much as the Welsh arm of the England and Wales Cricket Board. So a lot of that is about using Welsh language to a greater extent, more bilingualism. You'll notice changes at the stadium when you go along to Sophia Gardens over the next number of years. There will be a greater Welsh feel to it as we increasingly position ourselves. Yes, we absolutely want to be part of the ECB, but we are very much the Welsh part of the ECB. So we're working with the Welsh Language Commissioner on all of our work in terms of moving towards bilingualism. There's a number of areas there in terms of the player and fan experience that both organisations are looking at. Final objective, making the game more sustainable in Wales. Again, this means slightly different things within the professional game and the recreational game.
So a lot of this for us at Glamorgan is about developing our cricket revenues, but also diversifying what we do and our activities, especially at the stadium. Obviously, we need to make money to exist to resource our cricket team and our stadium. So I think for those of you that are aware of regular events at Sapphire Gardens, we now host concerts, fireworks events, outdoor cinema events, we do weddings, conferences, all those kind of ways of diversifying the business, sweat the asset so that hopefully we can gain the resource to put back into cricket moving forward.
And sustainability within the recreational game, within our clubs, a lot of this revolves around yourselves and people and volunteers. So a big focus in terms of yourselves and the next generation of volunteers. And again, we're expecting the ECB strategy inspiring generations from probably next year onwards for there to be an even greater focus on supporting volunteers within clubs and throughout the game. So that will be coaches, umpires, ground staff, embedding equality, moving out, helping yourselves grow your clubs, but also broaden your clubs. Enormous growth within, obviously, the women and girls game. That's not just the playing of the game, that's in fullness of time, that's all parts of the game, that's the administration of the game, that's involvement within club committees, it's umpires, it's ground staff, it's coaching, it's all aspects of the game. That'll take a period of time. We've seen enormous growth within the women and girls playing of the game. In the fullness of time, we want to help and support you move your clubs into being more family orientated types of organisations. And we'll hear from Tim in terms of the facility challenge. We're aware that there's a big facility challenge in terms of helping us make that move. But sustainability within our clubs, it's about the people, it's about how we govern the game within clubs and all levels, but it's basically supporting yourselves as volunteers to move your clubs forward during changing times. So those are the 5 objectives of the strategy.
Okay, Tim, over to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Peter. Right, good evening, everyone, and thank you very much for coming. As already mentioned, I'm going to be talking about the facility strategy, which I'm hoping that a number of you are already engaged with so far in terms of completing club surveys and are aware of what's been going on, or at least a little bit. So the purpose of this presentation is to go through what some of the key findings and the kind of key recommendations out of that strategy and that piece of work are. The facility strategy, as already mentioned, is very much to support that wider joint strategy that's gone on between Cricket Wales and Glamorgan. So a lot of the themes coming out of this will be very similar to what you've just heard, and there's obviously no surprise there because it's there to support it and it's kind of an ancillary part of that. Just to quickly cover in terms of what we've done and the process we've gone about it. Essentially, the surveys that we sent out to a number of different people, clubs as well as other organisations, was to identify essentially how many or what facilities we've got out there, the quality of them, the quantity, both indoor and outdoor, for cricket. The other side of it was also to understand actually how much cricket do we play, what's our demand in effect, both now and in the future, so that we can do an assessment to understand what our carrying capacity at these sites are, i.e. these are the facilities we've got, this amount of cricket we're going to be playing now and in the future, do we have enough facilities to cover that, is the quality there, and what are the issues around it. So that's essentially what we've tried to do. It's covering a 10-year period, so from 2020 to 2030, with a kind of significant review after 5 years. So it is a long-term strategy and a long-term approach, partly because trying to improve and amend facilities takes time, and things don't change quickly. So it's purposely designed on that basis. The approach was to consult as widely as possible across the stakeholder group. Thank you very much to everyone that did complete a club survey. We had a fantastic response from clubs. You can see there 81% of clubs responded. That did in fact cover more than 90% of the cricket played across Wales. So that's a fantastic amount of cricket. the clubs that didn't respond are often single teams rather than kind of the more established clubs out there. We also surveyed all the leagues out there for their perspective on facilities and the like. Again, all the major leagues did respond. It was just a few midweek leagues that didn't, hence kind of brought that response rate a little bit lower. We also sent a survey out to every local authority, all 22 across the country, with 16 responses, which I was actually really pleased with, and being able to engage on that level. We haven't really engaged much with local authorities in the past, so actually trying to build that relationship is a real positive start and a really good turnout from themselves. We did also speak to universities about potential solutions moving forward, as they normally have high quality facilities, and we also spoke to key members of staff and volunteers, for example, leaders of the women and girls game and the such like, to make sure we've got everyone's views and a good perspective when we took this strategy forward. There are a number of key findings. These are just a very brief summary of the key findings from that piece of work and that analysis. Ultimately, we do have sufficient facilities stocked to meet both the current and future demand. There are a few hotspots where we don't, for example in Cardiff and a couple of other areas, but generally we do have a large number of facilities out there. The quality of squares was generally viewed as good or standard for the level of cricket that's played at those sites. To be honest, generally poor standard sites are ones that are almost dangerous and unsafe to play on. You know, fair enough that not every site is going to be good enough for Premier League cricket, we understand that, but for the standard cricket that's played, we had a good quality of squares. On the downside, over 25% of pavilions were identified as poor quality. It's probably not surprising statistic, bearing in mind the kind of lack of capital grant funding within Wales for pavilions and buildings. Equally, the lack of investment from local authorities and other organisations out there. You know, there has been a bit of an underinvestment in those buildings. They're old buildings, they're starting to fail, a number of them, so it's probably not a surprising statistic on there. Most facilities don't cater adequately for female participation, whether that's players or spectators. And again, that probably doesn't surprise most of you out there. Again, that's a symptom generally of an older facility stock that's out there. Probably the biggest surprise was that there are over 102 venues that are capable or have indoor provision, i.e. nets of some kind, whether that's local authorities, schools, with only 81 of them actually being used. So there's a number of facilities, whether they are school sites or local authority leisure centres, that have nets provision that aren't even used. Considering that we have 189 clubs, I think it is, you know, we've got more, you know, it's a very large number of indoor facilities. In fact, we think that's probably a bit low as well. I know of one or two that aren't even on this list, and you know, it could be a lot higher. And 78% of those venues are rated as standard as poor in terms of the playing area. So not only do we have a lot, they are generally of poor quality across the board. Lastly, there has been a number of issues, or an increase in the number of ball strike issues. This is essentially often happening when housing developments take place next to existing cricket grounds, and where there may not have been an issue before, but now there are with balls going further and the way the game has changed. So it's something else we need to be mindful of moving forward. So in terms of the kind of what we've done is taken those findings and come up with 5 key strategic themes and a number of recommendations underneath it. So I'll briefly go through those. I know we're on a tight schedule, Mark. The first one is to develop a network of high quality cricket sites for all levels of talent development and performance. This covers 3 main areas really. One is to have a network of outdoor facilities and outdoor sites to cater for the Cricket Wales age groups and representative cricket. You know, we want to make sure on twofold really on this basis that one, that those are the best quality facilities. So if you're trying to really get that talent through and get that talent through to Glamorgan, that they are playing on the best quality facilities to maximise that potential. Equally, we want to secure a lot of how these grounds are used are done a little bit through historical relationships or other kind of personal relationships. Actually, we need to go to a bit of a more formal basis, give the clubs a bit more of a long-term plan, maybe some form of staging agreement or service level agreement, and look at ways of actually how can we give both the clubs a bit more security and equally Cricket Wales moving forward in terms of usage of those sites. Create a network of high quality venues to service Glamorgan Cricket Club, County Cricket Club activities. Obviously Sapphire Gardens is a high quality venue, international ground. There are issues with some of the outgrounds, especially obviously St Helens down at Swansea, in terms of it's another ageing, old facility. We've got to make sure that there is suitable facilities for the first team, first and foremost, especially with some of the displaced demand coming out of the fire gardens with Welsh Fire, which we'll hear about later, and the 100. But equally, it's a chance to actually move some of the other activities around, like Glamorgan's second team activities in the academy, to actually spread that around the country and get Glamorgan activities in wider than just around the Cardiff area. And lastly, create a limited network of high-quality strategic indoor sites. Going back to the idea, we've got a lot of poor quality sites. The idea is that we'd like to get a network of maybe 10 to 15 indoor facilities that cover the country geographically, that are high quality, that we've secured usage agreements and preferential usage agreements for cricket, where we actually concentrate activity and ensure the kind of sustainability of those sites. Where we do have centres that are of high quality, Fire Gardens, and see Nick at the back in terms of Ebbw Vale, the number of clubs that use those are significant, and it does draw people in. So actually it's a way of securing access as well as improving quality. Facilitate the growth of new markets for cricket. Very much provide fit-for-purpose facilities for women and girls and all-stars cricket. This might be this can be the changing rooms and the playing areas, especially for the girls' participation. But when you're talking about all-stars cricket, we've got to consider actually that there's going to be a lot of spectators, parents there. Have we got appropriate toilet facilities in place? Have we got appropriate social areas where people can take cover from the rain or whatever that goes on? Have we got those facilities that are actually going to cater for those people that are going to be at the clubs? It's a new market and different new people coming to your clubs. Also, create new facilities, including community venues, to support the growth of non-traditional cricket. Be it midweek cricket, be it short formats, in urban areas, especially in Cardiff where there's certain issues, and potentially in Newport. Do we need to look at some form of street cricket ideas on muggers or no defined ideas of what we want to do, but we've got to think of different ways of bringing cricket into these hard to reach areas to attract a different market. There aren't your traditional grounds always. We want to work collaboratively with key partners to maximise the benefit to cricket, as well as make best use of what resources we have out there. A key one is actually working with the local authorities to look at actually the areas of where there is under demand. Can we work with the local authorities to find if there are new housing developments, we need new facilities in the area, can we secure planning gains to help improve that facility stock? Working with those organisations that we haven't worked with that well in the past to try and secure some of that additional investment. And equally, as Peter touched on, working with our other governing body partners like the WRU and the FAW, whether that's around asset transfer and some of the issues that come about with that, or whether it's around investment opportunities where you actually invest in joint facilities together. We do need to work collaboratively and share those resources around. Creating sustainable facilities and environments for cricket. Again, this is about making clubs more sustainable, whether it's about reducing your usage of energy and water while also reducing your running costs, making you more sustainable from a facilities point of view. Equally also, and about trying to provide advice and guidance on the best way to manage your facilities, whether that's the fine turf and groundsmanship through the county grounds associations or IOG relationship, or any other kind of maintaining the pavilions, anything that's around trying to give the best practice, best operating practice and advice to clubs. Also to support local authorities and clubs going through community asset transfer. Community asset transfer is a threat, and we've probably seen all the recent news around going on in Bridgend to some clubs, but it can also be an opportunity. It can be an opportunity for clubs to take control of their facilities, to come up with a different operating model, a more sustainable business model moving forward. And we're going to work both with clubs, which we've been doing for the last couple of years, but also trying to influence the local authorities themselves and their policies to minimise that impact and minimise that kind of transfer, as it were, and the negative side of community asset transfer. And lastly, an enhanced protection of existing facilities and assets. One area that is particularly poor in Wales is around the planning role of Cricket Wales. Sport Wales is a statutory consultee in all planning applications that involve playing fields. Now, they don't actually consult with Cricket Wales at all on anything that involves cricket particularly, so we want to formalise that process, get that actually written in, and anything that involves cricket, Cricket Wales will be consulted on, and it allows us to have a stronger voice during those planning applications, be it housing development on the outfield, or not on the outfield, on the boundary of an existing ground, whether it's something that's actually directly impacting on the site you're on. You know, there's a development proposed. You know, we want to be able to have a stronger voice for you as clubs out there, and we feel we can do that working with Sport Wales. The other side of it is protect the existing infrastructure through the planning process, but also ensure that clubs have got the appropriate levels of security of tenure. You know, if you've got tenure, you've got more security, you can plan for the future, you can look at different ways of operating. If you're only working on a year-by-year basis, you don't know where what's happening for the future. So we're going to work with clubs to continue to make sure they've got the appropriate security of tenure moving forward. They're the kind of key themes, as it were, and recommendations as we stand at the moment. And in terms of the next steps, we're currently consulting on the draft strategy, which does end tomorrow night. So if anyone's got any thoughts on it, either after today's presentation, or please look online at the kind of the bigger document. It's got a bit more detail in there, but essentially it covers what we've just done there. And feedback your comments. Like I say, it's on the Cricket Wales website, so please do comment on there. The intention is to sign off this strategy by both Cricket Wales and Glamorgan boards by Christmas, hence the tight timescales. So we've been up against some tight timescales for a while now, but that is the plan, and we're still on course for doing that. Then in next year, we're going to develop a detailed action plan from this. So we talked about a strategic network of sites. Actually, what are those sites going to be? How are we going to roll out? What's the priorities going to be? Because obviously it's a 10-year plan, so we're not going to be able to do everything straight away. What resources are required? So that's where the detailed action plan of actually making this a reality will come in early next year. And then obviously implementation after that. So that's kind of a whistle-stop tour of where we are with that piece of work. I'd like to say, first of all, well, mainly, thank you so much for everyone that has contributed so far. The amount of information and evidence that's been produced, it's going to be useful for Cricket Wales beyond just this piece of work, is really substantial. So we've got a huge amount of information, not only about the facilities, but also about the playing and the aspirations of clubs moving forward. So it's been a huge benefit in that sense. So thank you very much for your time in doing that.
You do want to go over the jump though.
Well, good evening all. I recognise many in the room, but there's a couple of faces I don't recognise. For those that don't, my name is Ian Watkins. I'm the Welfare Lead Officer for recreational cricket in Wales from our All-Stars from the age of 5 right the way through to Glamorgan. So a couple of quick slides. What I'm going to do is talk to you today a little bit around where we currently are, what are the current issues that we're facing, a little bit about some changes at the ECB strategically, and then potentially some changes of what's coming down the line, what's going to affect you at club level and at league level in the forthcoming season and seasons. So both Cricket Wales and Glamorgan have got board representation now that takes responsibility and ownership for safeguarding, and it's good to have that sort of representation right the way there. We've created in Wales the Welsh, or the first really for England and Wales cricket, the Welfare Council. Now, when we started this was a Child Welfare Council, and things have morphed a little. And Derek is here somewhere. Derek Pickin, who's on the who's part of the Welfare Council. When we started, we were the Child Welfare Council, but we recognised that welfare, well-being, and adult safeguarding is something that we need to take care of and bring within our structure as well. So we're changing it now, and we're going to look more broadly at well-being and welfare. And the Welsh Welfare Council is really genuinely driving change and development operationally and strategically, and we're seen as a bit of a leading light really by the ECB and others in terms of some of the work that we do operationally and strategically around safeguarding. So every senior league's got a league welfare officer, and again, very few across England and Wales have got this. And the league welfare officers, and Derek is here, do a fantastic change in actually driving the clubs to make a difference operationally and to achieve compliance. All of the constitutions, every senior league in Wales has built safeguarding within the constitution, and that's a really important thing in terms of when we come to you as leagues, well, we come to you as clubs for you to understand and actually have that built within the rules that yes, we are going to make the game as safe as we possibly can be, and I'm grateful for those changes. Welsh cricket amongst the most compliant in England and Wales. Did you know that? Yeah, a few nods. I'm glad you said nodded your head. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we are. Absolutely. I'm very proud of that, and you should be proud of that because we've achieved that. So by means of example, the ECB know that there's around about 7,000 clubs in England and Wales, and there's around about 2,500 welfare officers in England and Wales. So you don't need to be a mathematician to say that there's around about a third of clubs have got a welfare officer. We've got 100% coverage, more or less, in Wales. Now that's quite something, and something that we should be quite proud of and sing from the rafters that we've achieved here, and you guys have achieved, so thank you for the efforts that you put in place there. We've had some quite significant cases in the last 12 months within Wales. We've had 8 cases within Wales, 8 safeguarding matters that we've had to deal with. A couple of those have been quite significant, and including this area. So we can't be complacent. You know, whilst Safe Hands is 16 years old and should be embedded in our game now, some of the things within Safe Hands, some of the expectations around what should be in place at clubs isn't in place everywhere. So we've still got a lot of work to do, and we shouldn't be complacent, and we should continue to work hard to achieve that. So let's talk a little bit about the ECB. So they're changing. There's more scrutiny coming. So they're going to be looking more closely at us to see whether or not we're compliant with basic safeguarding. You've already heard we're ahead of the curve. We're ahead of many of our fellow county boards, but that doesn't mean we can be complacent. We've got to continue driving and staying in front of the pack, in my view. So the ECB have created a regulatory committee, and the regulatory committee reports directly to the board as to where we are in terms of safeguarding. And the ECB board have earmarked a lot of money, millions, to drive safeguarding forward across England and Wales. They genuinely want to see change. They don't want front page news. And we've all seen some of the things that have happened in different sports. They don't want that to happen in cricket, and nor should we. So they've beefed up the staffing team. When I first started 9 years ago with Cricket Wales, the ECB staffing team was 2.5 people. It's now 11, and they're actually advertising for more. One of the things that's going to be expected, one of the things that's coming down the line is that funding is going to change. And you may have heard that there's this massive pot of money coming. Well, there might be a little bit of money coming, but some of the money that is going to come out to Cricket Wales and to the other county boards will be compliance dependent. So they're going to silo those bits of money in terms of compliance. So if we hit certain targets in terms of growth of the game, in terms of women and girls, in terms of safeguarding, we'll hit the targets to have those little pots of money. So this is really important that we achieve this. There'll be 2 new roles created within the safeguarding team, county safeguarding advisors. 50% of England and Wales divided between them, and they're going to go up and down the country, and they're going to be checking and challenging us and saying, right, where are you with your procedures, and really driving us forward. So that's going to be reporting through the safeguarding team to the regulatory committee. So that scrutiny, that increased transparency is coming. And increased expectations. So we've got nearly 100% compliance of club welfare officers, but coaches is probably the thing that we need to achieve more. Our captains, we've got DBS, but there are other roles within cricket, and many of our coaches that perhaps haven't got the level of coaching certificate they need, perhaps haven't got the qualifications they need in terms of safeguarding and first aid. And Cricket Wales forms a really important role here. We want to achieve, we want everyone to have every opportunity to become compliant. So we're going to look to identify where the gaps are and try and get ahead of that curve, try and put the training on and the work in place to try and help you to become compliant. So what does the future look like? Well, it's quite interesting. This is still being built, so this is still flexible at the minute, but this is what I expect it to be. So from the 2020 season, clubs will still affiliate to Cricket Wales as they currently do, but there'll also be a new national registration system. So clubs will affiliate to Cricket Wales, but will register with the ECB on a new online portal that's currently being built. The idea being that if you're a Croesyceiliog cricket club and you've got an 11s or 13s or 15s, a first and a seconds, so you'll enter that detail into the system. The system will then say, right, okay, you've got an 11s, who's the 11s coach? Well, it's Ian Watkins, okay? It will then check ECB systems to identify if Ian Watkins has got a coaching qualification, if he's got a DBS, if he's got safeguarding, if he's got first aid. And it'll be a green tick or a red cross. Sound familiar? This is something we started in Wales about 4 or 5 years ago. and something we've pushed, and the ECB hopefully going to copy it. So the idea of this new system will be to help identify where the gaps are, but help us, Cricket Wales, to provide what you guys need to become compliant. Club welfare officer is going to change, training is going to change. For the current months and into the new year, into the 2020 season, there will be no change, but following that, this is what I expect it to look like. Club welfare officer needs a 3-hour classroom-based safeguarding protecting children course and a 3-hour classroom-based safe hands course. Now, for me to say to any volunteer, you need to sit in a classroom for 2 3-hour courses that talk about the same stuff is bonkers. So we've looking to try and change that. So 3 years ago within Wales, we changed that and we created our own course. We merged the 2 courses together into 1 4-hour course, which we run. You leave with both certificates, and Cricket Wales run those courses at a loss. And I think it's important that we do it and demonstrate that, and we tell you about that because that's our commitment to you as the clubs to become compliant. So the ECB are going to try and tweak that a little bit, and again, perhaps shadow the model that we started. So rather than the Safe Hands delivery, which is a 3-hour classroom course, that'll still take place, but there'll also be a new online module. So instead of the 3-hour Safeguarding Protecting Children, there'll be a shorter online module. Complete that, complete the DBS and your Safe Hands 3-hour classroom based, and you'll become a qualified welfare officer. But that won't be in place for 2020, but beyond that it hopefully will be. The new training, when it's created and finished, keeping young people safe in cricket, will be available to everybody. So if anybody within your club wants to have access to it, they'll be able to. So historically, the online Safeguarding Protecting Children has been restricted, and you can only access that through Cricket Wales, through a code and through process like that. We want to change that. We want to make it so if you want to complete it, have access to it. So ACO, for example, if umpires and scorers want access, absolutely fine. If your tea ladies, your bar staff, your club cricketers, your committee, anyone wants access to it, we're going to make it available to everybody, and that'll be free. There's increased scrutiny looking at the pathway. So the new document, the County Talent Pathway Charter, I'm delighted the ECB have approached us and have asked us to assist and check and challenge some of the content of that process. But there's more scrutiny looking at that area as well. It's a well-known fact that there are 2 categories of individuals within sport that are more at risk than others, and that's disability and elite. So it's really important that we recognise that vulnerability and we put additional measures in place where it's needed within the pathway. And there'll be new training for club committees. Woohoo! I bet you're so excited. This will be a short thing. So any club chairs in here? Yeah, okay. Where's the buck stop for safeguarding, gents? Yep. So safeguarding responsibility sits with club committees, club chairs, Cricket Wales and the ECB. Yeah. So it's important you recognise what those responsibilities are. And the ECB recognises that, and they're putting a plan in place to provide a very short, free online delivery for club committees and club chairs to understand where the buck stops and how what the expectations are for you and how your county board, how Cricket Wales can help you. And lastly, a thank you. We haven't got 100% compliance of club welfare officers across Wales without Derek and without people like yourselves rolling your sleeves up and committing yourselves to it. So thank you very much. This is a slide from Aberystwyth early this year. We're very lucky within Wales. We've got 8, 9, 10-year-olds go and stay away on a residential weekend in Aberystwyth every year. And to get kids very often staying away from home for the first time ever in a facility like that with that sort of opportunity is quite special. And we're able to do that and able to provide that in a very safe way because of the structures and processes we got in place. So thank you very much. I'm very happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Battery, 90%.
Good, okay, last man in, and again, thank you, it won't last long, but it will be lively, Gordon, don't worry, okay? The 100. if you remember only one thing about this next fantastic 10 minutes, okay, this is about getting a greater cut through between 16 and 25-year-olds, okay? So as you go home and you're watching The Jungle or whatever it means, this is what this is about. Forget the formats nor the chatter about it. That's the purpose the 100 has been created. And it's entirely appropriate that I am presenting it to you. So, it's a new game. Let's have a look at it then. Okay, so quick quiz question. Who was the singer? Sorry? No, good. That's the closest shout in 7 times I've shared this, and no one's got it right. Sorry, no, sorry. No, not quite. No, Ariana, no. I like your thinking as well. My favourite too, yes. Ella Eyre. E-Y-R-E, okay? So no one in 7 sessions I've done this has got it right. Even on the first session I gave the wrong answer and nobody knew it. All right? Well, what does that tell us? It tells us we need to be in touch more with the young people who are playing the game that we cherish so much. So the 100 has been brought in with 3 things it's trying to do. We know it's a long game, and that's one of its virtues. You know, the ebb and flow of a test match, championship game, etc. Premier League cricket, 50 overs. But if we're going to connect with young people who, since 2005, haven't seen the game on terrestrial TV, it's not in their minds, it's not in their psyche. So it needs to be a short game. And a lot of things about the format, you know, the 10 balls, fewer changeovers, means that you can get through a game more quickly. We also know that the game is rich in complexity, and we all know we can talk forever about the fine details and nuances of cricket. But it's a bit like the tea towel thing. If you try to explain it to someone, a French person or someone who doesn't know anything about cricket, you know, you need to speak very simply and get rid of all the jargon. So this will be doing that. So when Ian Watkins hits the ball at Croesyceiliog 5th 11 over the boundary, ladies and gentlemen, that's 6 runs. Now, I don't need to tell you guys that, but we will need to tell a new audience that's 6 runs. And preconception, and because of all this, the game has an image, perhaps a perception of being lots of stuff, quite difficult. You'll hear on another film in a minute that there's images and perceptions about cricket that we need to demystify and blow out of the water. Now, I don't know if you saw the draft back in October when the teams were being picked live on TV, that right up from the outset, women and men are being put on an equal playing field. The women's game and the men's game are starting at the same time. They're concurrent. One of the games we'll be hosting is a double header. So the women's game is right up there. And it's a game for all generations. I don't know what that first game was for you when you saw your first professional or big game or your heroes way back. And for some of us, it was a long time, I know. But at least I can remember some of it. But that connectivity with our all-stars, with our youngsters that we are nurturing and developing that love of the game, for them to see a top player, a top experience in a fantastic stadium, we hope will be cementing that relationship with the game in the future. We're all used to, after the 15th over comes the 16th over. Yes, that's right. Yeah, okay, so counting up, but this will be a countdown. Very simple decimalisation type of thing. where after the 87th ball will be the 86th ball. My team have got 100 balls to bowl, Tim's team's got 100 balls to bowl. We'll see who gets the most amount of runs. So it's making it very simple for people to understand. And of course, apart from the Indian players, because the Indian Border Control won't allow them to play other than their games, we have got the world's best players who will be coming. And because in Cardiff we have got one of the 8 cities, it's a massive thing that we have actually got it. And our colleague Hugh Morris has done a fantastic job in securing this and getting the identity that we have. But here we've got Meg Lanning, who will be playing for the female team, and you know, she is probably one of the world's best players that will be playing in our side here. And these two are quite good as well. These two have hit the headlines for all sorts of reasons in the last 2 years, but particularly in this season's Ashes. What a fantastic series it was, and you know, to see Smith going out to bat, to see Banton, Ingram, Johnny Bairstow, and then Mitchell start bowling his Yorkers, I think is a really mouth-watering prospect. And we've got that in Wales. And it's going to be on terrestrial, live cricket on terrestrial as well as Sky, much, much more, well, anything is much more than 0 than in the past. And that should be a massive step forward for us. We've all grown up, I grew up listening to John Arlott and people like that. Yes, it was black and white, Peter, before you said it. Okay. But that will make another transformative experience for our young people as well. And of course, the identity, this is something that we are really pleased with. The guys in Somerset yesterday apparently weren't too happy with it, but it's a full-on bilingual Welsh identity. So I know the 8 cities are trying to cloud the old county boundaries and get people thinking about 8 identities and 8 stories. But we've got a very strong Welsh identity to our team. Now I'm going to play a short film now, which won't be as exhilarating as the one before. It'll actually be quite challenging. And for any walk of life, be it cricket or other sports, we need to listen to what young people are doing, what their world is. So let's have a tune into this one and see what you think.
This, I would say, defines Salisbury at the moment.
Right, give us a smile, lovely.
And the researcher I met was Annabelle. She was asking me about my area and what do I identify with and what does London represent to me. We was talking about a bunch of stuff.
Hi, this is my first diary entry.
Front, back, left, right.
Do you want to play?
Like, I remember being really little and sat in Grandma and Grandpa's old house singing Glory, Glory, Man United, and that was like a big thing. And I remember all my cousins being taught that as like the first songs that they could sing, and it was like a massive thing. Nothing for cricket.
I think it shows good diversity for the area.
I remember when Conrad first told me that it was about cricket, I kind of rolled my eyes thinking, oh, really?
I tend to associate it with older people.
Always seeing people asleep in the stadium.
It doesn't seem like it's fun.
I really think that cricket is more targeted for the rich people and not for the working class.
It just isn't one of the cool things. It's like when you're at school or college or uni or you're with your friends, you're talking about football, you're talking about basketball, boxing, MMA. Like, cricket is literally the last sport. We talk about tennis before we talk about cricket.
I mean, how else are you supposed to get out of that if you don't speak to younger people? So I appreciate what... I think it just shows how serious that they're taking it if they want to actually find out what younger people are looking for.
It's not being spanned out with a full season. It's a quick block where people are more likely to get involved in it, get stuck into it.
I think the TV presenters and the more noisy environment will be fun.
I like how in the description it says the atmosphere would be noisy and there'd be entertainment, and I feel like that would allow me to feel a lot more involved in the game itself and with people around me.
Advertising on social media, attacking it like that, making it beginners friendly, explaining it well, making good atmosphere, good environment. That's all perfect. That's literally exactly what you need to do.
As long as it's advertised as a new, fresh idea, this could be really good. I would definitely be up for taking some mates to go there myself.
So quite a wake-up call for us in cricket, and I don't know if that beat you, but when I was 18, 20, these people's ages, none of that stuff existed in my life. It was very simple, very few choices compared to what young people have now, and the stimuli and information that's coming into them and therefore influencing their decisions and what they see and what they choose to do. So we need to come out of our cricket bubble and engage with the world and understand and continually shape the offer that we've got, shaping the new formats of the game for the junior game and the senior game, as well as attracting people to come and watch the game, as Dan's been talking about earlier. But what a game is, we're really excited by this. I hope you're getting that from this presentation. See, Johnny Bairstow leading a team of the ilk that we've seen earlier, and again seeing that whole women's and men's game shoulder to shoulder, literally, in terms of what the 100 could be. So some people could see this, oh, this is the pitch for Glamorgan to get full crowds to fill the coffers. Actually, Glamorgan and Cricket Wales see this equally as critically important and a massive opportunity literally on our doorstep to galvanise and really spur our game on into the next 10, 20 years, so that all those young players that we've got are being inspired to the likes of these people. I saw a little clip on social media the other day of a young girl in Australia seeing Elise Perry, again one of the other big Australian great women cricketers, and she was just in tears by seeing her. So these are the impacts that heroes can have, and that we have on our doorstep. If we don't take it, there is a threat in less than 5 years we may not have it, and it will go to other places. So positively, it's a great opportunity. It's there for us to connect with more people. And so that's my bit on the 100.
And that's it, yeah. Thanks very much, everyone. I know we do have another meeting on Thursday. I do apologise all these meetings, but it is a busy November. But hopefully you can all get there to have a look at All Stars 2.0 launch. Another exciting opportunity for us as clubs. Thank you very much. And hopefully now, with Record, you've missed the adverts on I'm a Celebrity. Cheers, guys. Thanks.